What's up everyone, Jax here, and today we have the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Redeye, and it is as much fun as you imagine. There are few automotive shapes as familiar on the road today as the Dodge Charger, with this sort of current body style dating all the way back to 2011. But the basic model and platform go all the way back to 2006, when the Dodge Charger was introduced shortly after the Chrysler 300C. The platform also had a connection to the Mercedes E-Class from the early 2000s, back when Daimler Chrysler was a thing, and by a thing, I mean one of the worst ideas in automotive history. Weirdly, the Charger and its sort of less practical automotive twin, the Dodge Challenger, have kind of gotten more popular as the years have gone by, despite being relatively unchanged for the past decade or more. Much of that has to do with the introduction of the Hellcat variants, which were brought out alongside the 2015 sort of styling refresh. And that started one of the weirdest, but also awesomest automotive arms races of the modern era between SRT and SRT. See, when the Hellcat variants were introduced, SRT was already making Hemi V8s that made anywhere between 300 and 500 horsepower, which is a lot, more than enough for most normal, sane people. And then the Hellcat dropped with over 700 horsepower, and we were all collectively like, what? SRT famously began shoehorning the Hellcat motor into pretty much everything, from the Dodge Durango to the Jeep Grand Cherokee to the Chrysler Pacifica. I'm just kidding. But what if, and as if that wasn't enough, after what could only be described as an all-night drug and booze-fueled bender that probably resulted in a crayon sketch of the devil from South Park on a hastily drawn Challenger outline.
Who hath summoned me to this realm?
SRT was like, what if we make it even more powerful? Which resulted in the Dodge Challenger Demon, which could make up to 840 horsepower on race gas. And then SRT thought, what if we gave most of that power to, like, a family man? Thus, the Redeye was born, sporting a pavement-crunching 797 horsepower Hemi V8 engine, rippling the earth to pieces with 707 pound-feet of luscious torque. How did they do it? A bigger supercharger, more boost, and 2 fuel pumps. No, like, seriously, that's like really all there is to it. SRT was like, just make it bigger, just make it more. I'd imagine that's what they were like. You really can't say enough about this engine though. It is quite literally a force of nature. Woo! And unless you experience it for yourself, it's impossible to adequately convey what 800 horsepower feels like in a sedan of this size. A supercharged 6.2-liter V8 sounds good. One making over 700 horsepower sounds even better. Almost 800 horsepower? You get what I mean. Too much is never enough. Make a good title for this video. And there might be no better example in the automotive kingdom of that mantra than this Charger Redeye. It is excess in its most pure and glorious form. SRT also includes what they call a power chiller, which is an AC evaporator routed into the intercooler to reduce intake charges by a claimed 40 degrees. Because, you know, more power. No embarrassing Corvette Z06 power losses or overheating issues here. You also have massive 6-piston Brembo front brakes to bring it all to a stop, and you need them. As well as 20 by 11-inch wheels and tires at all 4 corners to keep it glued, sort of, to the road. And how does it all work? What does nearly 800 horsepower feel like out on the street? Well, like nothing else on the road. As you can tell, unfortunately today we are not in ideal conditions. It is a drizzly, rainy day, and it's the only day I have to do the driving portion. So doing kind of hard pulls on an engine that makes 700 pound-feet of torque, not really a good idea in these conditions. conditions, if you know what I mean. Especially on these all-season Pirelli P0s. They just cannot cope with what this powertrain can put down. And there is power literally everywhere in this car. There's never a moment when you're driving it where it doesn't have power. Like insane power, prodigious, unrelenting power. And the supercharger wide, it's just obnoxious in every way that you want it to be. It's just perfect. I mean, in terms of like this sort of sense of theater and occasion. I've talked about that before in some cars. It has a presence. It has a sort of purpose for existing, even if it doesn't make any sense. That's like a quarter throttle. I mean, that's like the smallest dip your toe in, because honestly, I can't do any more than that, or the rear end will just break traction and spin. And I have it set in street mode right now because you'd be a lunatic not to. You have to have that safety net on the street, honestly, in my opinion. And I'm not just being, you know, ultra careful or something. You have to have a safety net in this car. It is too powerful. It is a weapon, and like a weapon you can't aim. It's like what I imagine a blunderbuss would have been like. You know those like old-timey guns with the big fat ends on them that just look like they shot a cannonball? That's what I imagine this car is like. It's a blunderbuss. It just has this sense of presence to it. And whatever you think in terms of space, when you put your foot down, you don't look ahead. You're not like, oh, that car is in front of me by like 100 yards or something. I'll have a little fun. You like look ahead, you're like, is there anything within a mile of me that could possibly happen? It's not unlike riding a motorcycle, because you're constantly looking around for danger, except in this car, you're the danger.
I am the danger.
You're the one who knocks.
I am the one who knocks.
Come on, Breaking Bad reference.
You're damn right.
Oh man, this car just provokes laughter out of you because you don't know how else to react. There is no other way to react to a vehicle that can do what this thing can do. That supercharger one, I mean, it's just like, you want to hear it. I cannot think of another obnoxious sound in the world that you want to hear as much as that. And you're just driving around in traffic and you're like, there's literally nothing on the road that can compete with this, especially when you're at speed. Like if you're going 50 miles an hour and you bury it, the rear end will break loose and you will be launched off an aircraft carrier. That's what it feels like. It's drunken fun. Like if this was 150 proof, like Everclear that you mix into your hunch punch at a college party because you're trying to get all your friends wasted.
We're going streaking!
That's what the Redeye is, because you could put 3 friends in this car and give them an experience that they would never forget. Why? Like, that wasn't even half throttle and the rear end was just like, nope, it's wet outside, you're nuts. So to the driving experience, enough of this silliness. We'll get more of that, I'm sure, but the steering is surprisingly good. I kind of like the steering, actually. It's pretty accurate. It's got a nice weight to it, especially in normal mode. In track mode, it gets a little like artificially heavy, but like honestly, it's surprisingly good. And this wheel is huge and I like it. It perfectly fits the car. It suits the character of the car. I love this wheel. It is silly and it's covered in suede or Alcantara, whatever, and it just feels like it is perfect for this vehicle. It's like a ridiculous vehicle, a ridiculous wheel. This thing is massive. The brakes are highly effective. They scrub off speed very quickly. Like, I have no doubt that this car will stop on a dime. The pedal feel is not great. It's kind of mushy, but like they feel effective. You don't ever worry that you're not going to be able to rein in that 800 horsepower. You would lose control and crash before the lack of braking would ever become a concern. And the 8-speed automatic transmission, I mean, it's unbelievable that it can cope with this level of torque. But it feels okay day-to-day driving. It's pretty unobtrusive. Like, I use that word all the time when I'm describing transmissions. Let's use something else instead. It's pretty transparent in the background. Those two words don't even remotely mean the same thing, but you know, kind of the same situation. It goes about its business, but when you put it in track mode, like I have it in right now, it like slams home the gears, especially on downshifts. It's like, blah, blah, it's like trying to do that dual clutch blip thing, and it's like a little bit of too much, I guess you would say. But is there too much in this car? I would submit that there is no such thing as too much in this car. But in normal mode, it's fine. You don't notice it if you want to just drive around like a normal person. You put this car in its normal mode, in sort of auto mode, and it limits power to 500 horsepower, and the 8-speed just goes about its business. So it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels capable. Like, I had it in normal mode and I was pulling out into traffic, and you can accelerate very quickly, 500 horsepower. But it's not like in SRT mode when you set it to track or sport, because you can hit the SRT button on the dash and dial in your level of lunacy. Just roll on the throttle, and the Pirellis are like, nah, dude, that's too much. It is impressive how controllable it is, though. I mean, I have the traction control on, but the car doesn't like even get perturbed. It's just like the Pirellis don't want to play. Oh, there goes a regular Charger. The wide body really adds something to this look. I just love the way the wide body looks. I cannot believe a car this old with a design that's been around this long looks as fresh as it does in the wide body trim. Now, if there's something that I would criticize, I don't love the way this car rides. I have the suspension in normal mode right now because honestly, when you put it into sport or track mode, it gets unbelievably harsh, and it feels overly harsh because of how much this car weighs. It's over 4,600 pounds, which you have no trouble motivating it with this giant engine, but the suspension just punishes you as it tries to manage this mass. And side-to-side transitions, I'm not on the handling road today, but I did take it up and down the handling road in every single version, every single mode. And it's just all over the place, like all over the place on the handling road, and not in a firm like kind of way like the Supra was, or a sports sedan like the Genesis G70, in a like I'm barely in control of myself kind of way. Now that road is admittedly bad on purpose, that's why I use it, but this car is not a handler. Like, you could probably get it around a racetrack, but you'd have to like wrestle it around the racetrack, like grab it by the scruff of its neck and be like, you're gonna go around this racetrack. I don't know why you would do that, but over smooth pavement like this recently resurfaced road, it feels fine. Like, it's a little floaty even, but when you hit a bump or a pothole, it really unsettles the chassis. You can sort of feel the chassis age in those situations. I gotta calm down. There's always like cops on this road. So the modes to me in suspension, it's like decent, harsh, harsher. It's not really a dancer. It's a brawler. It's like while you were dancing, this came in, punched you in the face, and stole your girl or guy, 2021. This car is not the ethos of speak softly and carry a big stick in the Teddy Roosevelt fashion. This car is speak loudly and carry a warhead, because that's what this engine is. It's a bomb that's just waiting to go off, and you're strapped to it at any moment. It's got the sound, it's got the fury, it's got the supercharger whine to it. It's just utterly ridiculous. But it is so much fun. I can give you a host of reasons why you wouldn't want to get this car. But a lot of those don't matter for the one reason that you would. Maniac. Absolute maniac. And what is that price? Well, this car costs over 90 grand, which is somewhat understandable when you consider what it can do. It's basically a powertrain that happens to have a sedan on top of it. But there are aspects of day-to-day use that might make you question your 90 grand purchase, such as the interior. This car has the $1,600 carbon and suede package, as well as the $1,000 Alcantara interior package, which seems odd since Alcantara suede are like virtually the same thing. And those packages get you the suede on the headliner, as well as the carbon inserts in the dash and center console, and the Alcantara steering wheel, which is really nice, and the seat inserts as well. And it certainly helps to dress up the interior of a car that can be purchased for less than 30 grand. But the seats themselves are a little too plush. They're a little too kind of couch-like, and they're not really befitting of a vehicle with this level of performance. See the excellent F-Sport seats in, F-Sport Lexuses for an example of sort of everyday comfort with, performance-oriented kind of bolstering. And the materials and the technology are just okay. The plastics aren't really offensive, but they're definitely tougher to swallow at 90 grand than they would be at like 30 grand. And while I quite like the functionality of the Uconnect infotainment system and the absolutely biblical amount of performance data and metrics and configurability that you have. I mean, you can literally set this car up in any number of ways, which is truly incredible. Seriously, you can like monitor everything. The 8-inch sort of square touchscreen kind of looks out of date, definitely not hip to be square in this instance. And the backup camera resolution is about the same as like an Atari 6500. You probably don't even know what that is. And speaking of backup cameras and safety systems, there aren't really any to speak of. Not advanced ones anyway. And the blind spot monitoring system that this car is equipped with seem to recognize cars, trucks, airplanes, people, trees, woodland creatures, and basically oxygen, because it would constantly light up and blink for no reason at all. But who cares, right? I mean, this thing has 800 horsepower. And to be honest with you, I don't really disagree with that line of thinking. Somehow, Dodge and SRT keep the Charger looking fresh after all these years. And the wide body enhancements combined with the satin black hood, roof, trunk, and spoiler certainly don't hurt. It looks fantastic. Even in this green color, I quite like. Of course, that satin black trim costs $3,500, but still. The Hellcat Redeye has as much or more straight up swagger as anything else on the road. Like literally anything else on the road. And I was actually surprised by the number of people that immediately identified what it was and expressed real interest in the car. I personally didn't think it was that popular of a model, but people looked at it, gawked at it, and asked me about it pretty much all week. That says a lot about how this car, and more or less this powertrain, fits into the sort of automotive zeitgeist. You like that big word? I know big words, huge words, the best words. I have the best, biggest words. No matter how much is sort of stacked against this car, it somehow manages to still be sort of appealing and desirable. It sort of defies the odds. It's kind of like Rocky IV. Oh, you have all that technology and training on your side? Well, I'm gonna go lift really big, heavy things in a barn and still win. Because America. Rocky ended the Cold War. You might not be old enough to remember that. I am. So should you buy a Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Redeye wide body? Because that's the full name, honestly. I think that really depends on your definition of performance and what you expect from a performance vehicle. When you add the $8,600 preferred package to the Hellcat, which essentially transforms it into the Redeye, you vault this car into more rarefied air, if that makes sense. It's as much or more as sort of the German super sedans or something like a C8 Corvette, but it is based on an ancient automotive platform. It's the most powerful sedan in the world, but it struggles to use only a fraction of that power in real-world driving. In conditions like this, No, don't put it in full power mode. It's ludicrously fast, but it might also kill you. To put it simply, the Hellcat Redeye is sort of a unique and special beast of a vehicle. One that we're unlikely to see ever again in the era of internal combustion engines. Even though I wouldn't personally spend $90,000 of my own money on something like the Hellcat Redeye, I do completely understand the appeal now that I've driven one. It sort of succeeds in spite of itself. And I think that's kind of worth celebrating. And someday, far into the future, when we're all old and we look at our kids and we go, you remember back in the day when somebody gave all those SRT people a bunch of drugs and alcohol and they started putting Hellcat motors in everything? And we'll go, yeah. And then we'll get on our electric scooters and head over to McTofu's for a sustainably sourced plankton burger. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I can't say enough about the Hellcat Redeye. It is an unbelievable explosive bomb of a car, like strapping yourself to an intercontinental ballistic missile or a SpaceX rocket. It's utterly insane, and for that reason alone, I celebrate its very existence. And I applaud you, SRT, for your bonkers, nuts, crazy mission of stuffing all of this enormous power into everyday family transportation. Hats off to you, and thank you for doing what you're doing. I hope you found this review informative. If you are considering a car like this, I can assure you that you won't be disappointed. It truly is unique and one of a kind, and I just don't even understand how something like this exists. But it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. As always, ride safe, drive safe, definitely drive safe, and I will catch you in the next review. All right? Peace. Car is inconvenient.